We're going to analyze a very simple requirement. Let's say we want to, as part of the gathering the, let's say there's a requirement from the user. He says, okay, I want to get a list of all the opportunities that were created today. Every day I go to my my reports, and I want to see a list of those opportunities. Just the number is enough, okay, so that we don't get into the field layout of the report. Report layout is a very important requirement. We will not get in this. He wants to know the number, total number of opportunities that were created today. So you, wearing a business analyst hat, get down to business and try to find out what kind of issues will come. And so you have to identify issues as part of this exercise. You want to try to find out issues? I mean, I of course I don't want to give you answer. So the question really, I'm just elaborating the question a little bit more. The user gives this requirement. You think you can just finish the meeting and go back to your desk and put it in a document, give it to the developer, or you need to have more details? So what details, if you need to have more details, and what details would you need? You are in a meeting with the user and he says that the requirement is that they want to get a report of how many total number of opportunities. Just the number. They want to get the total number of opportunities that were created today. Do you want to know? Do you want to get some other details of the requirement, or you're just or you're okay? This is what a business analyst does. He analyzes the requirements and looks at the entire system and comes out with valid questions, and kind of helps the user finalize the requirements and provide have the users chart out the details of the requirements. So this is what this simple thing is all about. Are there any things that you need to know in order to make this requirement rock solid? Actually, at this point, this requirement is quite vague. So this is adding to ambiguity of the requirement. So you need to ask valid questions to remove ambiguity. And there is a very concrete mathematical ambiguity. So it's not like just in English or just a business scenario, but a very simple mathematical ambiguity right now. We'll of course come to many more ambiguities, and you might end up telling me a little bit more about. I just have few things in my mind, but I want to know what you think about it. Just of course I don't want to tell you the answer, so I'm going to ask another question. आज की ताजा खबर क्या है? What is the headlines of today? I'm going to click on Google News. What is the headline? What are the headlines now? What are the headlines now? Are the headlines same? The Tribune में क्या है? Polls on mind, government boosts rural households. Perfect. कौन से दिन की है? There is so we will discuss one problem now. I want to say it is part of this video itself. So you should basically think about it yourself. If you don't, then ask your trainer. Second one is there is another one that has come to my mind. Just out of the blue, it's not really very convincing. Like time zone is a very convincing issue, right? There's another thing. Can you think of something? Just think about it. So this small thing I'll discuss here. Let's say opportunities were created, but then they were made inactive. Should those be included in the report or not? According to the requirement, very clearly yes. Maybe that's what anybody will say, right? But then business purpose wise, it is a little ambiguous. We know that probably it's not serving the purpose now. This report is not serving its purpose. But then there is a very clear thing in which is a similar thing. After creation of the opportunities, if it gets deleted, if they delete the opportunity after creating it, should it be included in the report on the same day? Making sense? Like they create 20 opportunities, then someone deletes 2 opportunities out of it. Should it be put it in the report, or should it be put in the report or not? Most probably not. That's what common sense says. Even if we are all convinced that because it was created, we should go by the requirement and we should put it, right? Still, we know that common sense says that we should not keep those. So this is definitely then a question that you can ask the lady, the person who are the SME. Making sense? Similarly, find something else. I think there are other areas which are which are making this requirement a little ambiguous, and you can think about them. Another area that comes to my mind. This is out of the blue again. Created by the reps from the GUI only, or created by other system? let's say there is a bad job running in which the opportunities are created in some other system also and they are brought into Siebel. Do you want to include those also, or just the ones which are created in GUI from by reps using through the GUI? I mean, this can be a question. If there is a scenario like that, you need to analyze it and think. Is it a good scenario? Do you think it's a good scenario? It's a very common scenario actually. In general, it may not. Luckily, we are discussing opportunities. That's why it's a very opportunity is a very common scenario because opportunities are typically created in marketing systems. Not typically, well, many a time, not always. But let's say there are reps who are making outbound calls, and then they someone says, okay, I'm interested in the product, so they'll create an opportunity, and then this opportunity will flow into the sales system and start showing in the opportunity screen. It's luckily we are discussing opportunity. Had we been discussing maybe product, then it would have not made any sense, right? But the point is, it can happen actually. For your entity, the entity that you are having at hand, think about it once, whether this scenario is applicable to it or not. And in that scenario, now there is a conflict between two scenarios that we discussed. Can we all summarize the ambiguities that we had and then the rules that we came out with, and then we'll see whether whether this is adding to the ambiguity now. I mean, I know I'm talking a little cryptic. Let's just talk about all the requirements that we gathered. So for this requirement, the answer is that we should count them. Now, you see 1, 2, 3 rules with which we removed the ambiguity. Actually, there are 2, 3 rules or 2 rules within these 2, 3 rules that we got. I think 3 rules we got, which conflict with each other. And just for the record, the first issue was the time zone issue, because let's say one opportunity is created in PST time zone. Let's say it's created at 11 p.m. PST. The other opportunity is created at New York time, 2 a.m. EST. They are both created at the same time, but their days are different. So they should be counted in today or not. So we remove the ambiguity by saying that for every opportunity we should consider PST in mind, right? So we should consider PST in mind. So we removed the ambiguity. So this was the first issue with the requirement, and we removed it by saying that. Second issue was whether the opportunity should be deleted or not. Sorry, whether the deleted opportunities or the inactive opportunity should be counted or not. Then we said that if it is a deleted or an inactive opportunity, let's say some opportunity was created today and made inactive today itself, or deleted today itself, then it should not be counted, right? So if it is deleted tomorrow, then it would have anyway not been counted, so that's not a problem. But if it is deleted today itself, right, then it should get counted. It should not get counted. So that's the second rule, second ambiguity, and we removed it. Third one was, if the opportunities are created in another system and they are brought into Siebel, right? Should we consider those opportunities as well or not? So that we answered that saying that we should count those opportunities as well. Let's say, so these are the 3 rules given to you now. 2 rules out of these are in direct conflict with each other. They may lead to a skewed report, distorted report. You need to either ask questions or make assumptions. I think you can make an assumption, but still you need to tell me what is the problem with. There are 2 rules within this requirement which are in conflict with each other. They're conflicting. Can you tell me which ones? Yeah. Sometimes I wonder, what do I really mean by conflict myself? Really, because of conflict, it really means the requirement has to be, one of the rules has to change. It has to change itself. It still does not hold true because of the fact that one of the other requirements is going to affect it so much, it has to change. Some of you guys said that, let's say in the other system, 1 and 3 are in conflict. Your argument was, if in the other system, it is following a different time when it is used in China, then when we bring it into Siebel CRM in USA, then we might have to do something. I would say the first can still hold true. I'm not saying it will. They will change. Actually, first is not good anyway. That way, first is not good anyway. Siebel CRM could be used in China too, right? So first is not a good rule. I'm telling you, that's the first thing. But whatever rule would have been, whatever rule we would have come out with, would have hold true, right? Isn't it right? It would have been. It would have still stood strong. But I'm looking for a rule, I'm looking for an issue within these rules, sorry, I'm looking for an issue within these rules because of which the other rule has to change. Making sense? So another conflict that someone said was, if in the other system the opportunity is created and deleted on the same day, and then it is brought into Siebel, then whether all the opportunities that have come, only those should be counted, or all the ones which are deleted also should be counted. Second rule stands right. Just use only those which are surviving opportunities. All the ones that are gone, deleted from the system, should not be considered. So that still holds true. So there is no conflict as such. I mean, we need to chart out these details as well as we can write in the comments that this is what I thought once and then this was answered. So this is a good idea. I'm not saying ideas are bad, but I'm looking for conflict. By the way, ideas are very good. When you are gathering requirements, if you come up with some scenarios and the answer is simple and answer is very clear, still write it in the comments column that this is what I discussed with the users, and they actually said that, you know what, let's keep the second rule. For example, in this case of when the CRM system is from China and Siebel is in USA, then let's say they say that, like, you know, PST should still hold true. Then you can write it explicitly in the comments that I asked her, you know, if the other system is making opportunities in China and then we are getting into Siebel, do you really need to keep PST, or we need to come out with a different rule for Chinese users? She said that no, we should keep PST as a rule. So we can write this thing. It's a very good scenario, but it was a conflict too, I would say. It was a conflict. It is something that you have to ask. But I'm just seeing a big conflict actually. First and third are in direct conflict with each other. And for that, one has to change, or three will have to change. Something has to happen. That is the kind of thing I'm looking for. So all the things that you guys taught, and this first day of production is a big issue actually. Whenever you are thinking of something, always think what will happen the first day. Like, how will the report look like? Like, I'll give you certain scenarios and then you'll realize those are important things. Because actually Jo issue nikala, my issue and her issue is going to be similar. So I don't want to talk about her issue first. Then you will know the conflict between the two requirements. Okay, the conflict that I see is, so when the records are created in the other system, they will have a created time of that system. When these records are migrated from that system or brought into Siebel using a batch, it will carry the original created date, or it will carry the new created date, right? The created date in this system in Siebel will be different because they were created, let's say, in the morning at 8 a.m. But then the batch ran at 9:30 in the night, and they were created in the system at 9:35 p.m. PST, right? Which created date should be counted? But then here is the problem. It is still within the same day, so we are okay, right? So in this example, is not a good example. Let me give you. Let's say it was created at 8 a.m. in the 8 a.m. PST in the morning. So they should be counted as today. But let's say when they are brought into Siebel at 12 o'clock in the night, some records end up getting into system at 1 o'clock because their job ran for a long time. Or the job was run at 1 o'clock, why not? In the night. So they should be counted in the next day or the same day. Ethically and business common sense point of view, they should be counted in the current day, today, not tomorrow. But now the issue is that you have to change the first rule. You know how? For all the records in the current system, it should go by the created date and PST zone, and for all the records from the other systems, it should go by wherever you are storing their created date of that system, because created date in Siebel will be different, right? Will be 1 a.m. PST next day. So you have to say, okay, for the opportunities which are coming from other systems, it should go by the created date in that system, right? So it is little different now. I don't know how many people agree that this is a conflict, because you're changing the requirement now. Previously you said created date in Siebel. Now you're saying created date in this Siebel, and if it is created in Siebel, then this is a created date you need to go by. If it is created in some other system, this other date is what you need to go by. They both are the created dates within the respective system. So your first rule still holds true, but just think, requirement is a little bit different now, right? Yeah, you have to go by the created date of the other system. That's what the requirement was, and that common sense point of view. But then look, your requirement is changed a little bit now. You have to specifically mention certain things. You don't have to go by the created date in Siebel system. You have to go by the created date in the respective systems, and that might mean a different date in Siebel. Right? So I'm with him. Then now, first day issue, like as far as the first rule is concerned, it will not change, but then you have to ask, what would you like the first date to be? But it doesn't change the first day. It just doesn't change the first rule. But there is some scenario which will change the first rule. On the very first day, a lot of opportunities will be brought from other systems into Siebel. There's a possibility of migration. They might be 2-year-old opportunities, 3-year-old and 1-year-old opportunities, or maybe 1 day old. When they will be brought into Siebel, they will be carrying the created date of today, of the day of production. On that same day, if user runs the report, how many opportunities should he see? Right? 20,000 or the 20 that were created on that day. That is a good thing. That's a good scenario.
But in that case, they can keep on the first day they can keep the same created date.
They basically have to keep the same spirit, whatever was created today. So you have to go by the created date, the other created date. That created date will be the current or 2-year-old created date, right? They don't have to go by the system created date. They have to go by the respective system created date, and wherever they store it should be different. For example, this particular date is a system created date. So this will be the date of the migration actually. Just to let you guys know, okay? So now the rule is changing a lot. Okay? This date is a system created. In Siebel, when was it created? Yeah. Your question is, when they migrate the data from, yeah, of course. If they need to, you are a BA, you have to tell them whether they need to bring it. Remember I was saying that you have to tell them each and every field that you want to bring from that system. If it is important to you, you better give it as a recommendation that bring the original created date also. For example, I am doing that here. For some, there is one small thing that I said, in Siebel, when you bring the date from other system, I told you that it cannot go in that field, right? There are some developers who know how to do that, and they will be able to bring the date, the actual created date in the other system, into the created date, system created date of Siebel. Making sense? So this is a system date, right? So I told you, right? I just now told you this will always be the current created date, like the day it was created in Siebel. That's not true. If it is created in some other system, you can bring it into Siebel and populate that original created date in this field. It is possible. Some developers know how to do that. So this date is stored at the database level. This is a date which is actually lying in the database.
There is some trigger that whenever the record goes into the table and that date is automatically added to that, or it goes from the front end.
No. Just as it is created, when it is saved, database stores the saved date and time. That is Oracle level functionality, right?
That's a.
No, but there is a specific field in for every record.
I understand.